So, Souls-likes. Over the years, the popularity of the Souls-like genre has drastically improved between Souls-likes and Soulsborns left and right, and I'm talking Elden Ring, Lies of P, Bloodborne, Remnant, and many more. I mean, just by looking at the charts of the Souls-like titles released per year on Steam alone, you can see what I'm talking about. And this oversaturation brings me to my point, so the core gameplay loop being that of dodge, attack, die, repeat. And this isn't something wrong, but it does allow us to come forward with some observations about the genre as a whole. They all play in a similar way, with the similar approach to how the camera works, the general movement, the overall combat, and the classic block and parry system. Which, once again, isn't exactly wrong, but it does imply that most of those games became too similar, and that made them feel bland. But it does happen for a reason, specifically the human probability of choosing something that we already know, otherwise known as the mere exposure effect, so the likeliness of us choosing something that we already are familiar with instead of something new. I'll have you know that I felt very smart writing this. This, in turn, like in many other fields, has become a strategy for companies to guarantee a certain amount of sales, while also appealing to a general sense of nostalgia, in hopes that it's gonna get us to buy the games. Now, the problem with that is that due to the games being produced on the same basis instead of principles, this type of similarity, most often than not, leaves the player bored due to the same kind of experiences across multiple games. And despite the, usually, good story, more often than not pushed players away from playing a majority of those games for more than a few hours, let alone finishing them. This of course doesn't apply to the more hardcore fans of the genre, but you guys are completely off the rails with that. And I say all of this from the perspective of someone who has also been in this position, where the concept itself began to appear tedious and even lazy to some extent. That is until I came across No Rest for the Wicked. What's that, you ask? No Rest for the Wicked is an action RPG presented from a bird's eye perspective, developed and published by Moon Studios, which is a team responsible for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, as well as Ori and the Blind Forest. Both awesome platformers, by the way. The game puts us in control of a Serums, a mystical holy warrior who possesses special powers meant to aid us in our quest to defeat the Pestilence, so the main antagonistic force of the game that destroys the island where the game takes place, while an underlying political conflict grows stronger as the game progresses. Now that I've introduced you to the game and its world a tiny bit, I think it's time to move on to my actual opinion on the game. Despite the initial skepticism, No Rest for the Wicked managed to pull me into its world and story quite quickly and nicely, leaving behind the feeling of boredom I'd experienced with other Souls-likes. Wait, wasn't there a chest? Can I jump down? Oh my gosh, there's no chests. It contains a fair amount of side quests in dungeon-like areas for the players to explore. Come on, fuck. Nope. Challenging boss fight. And quite a nice variety of enemies that actually feel somewhat unique and difficult. I'm just gonna... Okay. Plus an insane cast of voice actors that take part in the game, like Keith Silverstein, who's the voice of Zhongli, Stephanie Kurbis, the voice of Allmind, Melissa Hutchison, the voice of Clementine, and many other extremely talented individuals that help bring the whole game to life. No full official cast list has been published yet, and most of the mentioned voice actors are speculated about. All of which made the experience seem interesting and perhaps even addicting to an extent. And sure, it might partly be due to the game's perspective, reminding me of a beloved game from years back, but I think there's more to that than just personal nostalgia. What I think this stems from is the game's main assumption, where you as a player are rewarded for being precise and timing your approach correctly. Anyways, while simultaneously giving you the freedom to strategize with your equipment. And of course, I'm not saying that this is something strictly unique to the game, but it does come about nicely together, making the combat seem fluid and seamless, giving you as the player the rewarding feel of dodging an attack just perfectly and not being punished by bad hitboxes. What I mean is that you can clearly feel the passion put into making everything as precise as can possibly be to make the whole experience feel tight as opposed to frustrating. Oh my fuck. Another important thing to mention is the sheer number of felines and canines. Why did I say it like that? Kitties and puppies you can encounter while exploring the world, and better yet, you can stop by and pet those little angels while listening to the most adorable sounds ever. What did you say? Oh, right. On top of all that, the game offers an extensive crafting system that allows the player to cut down trees for wood, mine for ores, harvest plants, dig up items, fish for food. Damn. And what's the most interesting and perhaps unique for a game like this, buy a house from the available selection all across Sacrament that they can later decorate themselves by either buying pre-made furniture or crafting recipes to create the furniture personally. And these are, in my opinion, the most crucial things to mention in terms of positive aspects of No Rest for the Wicked. And of course, as any game, it also has its bad sides. One of which is the difficulty with traversal due to the fixed camera angle that has sometimes led to my death, or the need to platform my way back up after almost making it across the one damn location. Another point is both an upside and a downside. Specifically, I'm talking about the vast open world. Sure, it's beautiful and filled with plenty of things to explore, and later you unlock the ability to fast travel, but the early moving back and forth between locations is slow and annoying. You know what, I'll just let you see for yourself. Oh my fucking gosh. How many of you, Jesus Christ? Lastly, the issue I had a bunch is the stamina depleting at an insanely fast rate, when dodging or otherwise, which adds to the difficulty, sure, but it also makes the gaming experience more frustrating as a whole. And yes, you can equip yourself with items that boost your overall stamina regen, or the flat stamina value, but the overall level of stamina in early game turned the initial impression into a tedious workout, as opposed to a challenging play session in some places. I swear I just said tedious and not titties. To sum up, No Rest for the Wicked is a solid game with a solid foundation with regard to its basic systems, the main assumptions, the sheer scope of the project, executing its ideas quite nicely, creating an overall pleasant experience. Especially the hit validation, this stuff pisses me off so much when it's not done right. And yeah, it's got its bad sides, but so does every other game on the market, and what makes this one good is the fact that those bad sides don't overshadow the good parts. All in all, the game as it is right now is a strong purchase, especially at the moment with the developers releasing a big story update called The Breach that takes place after the main story, expanding on the depicted world. Additionally, the update introduced a lot, and I mean a lot, of quality of life improvements, which is always a massive plus. In the game's current state, I'd be willing to give it a solid 8 out of 10, with room for improvement, and I cannot wait to see where the game ends up once it's out of early access. Thank you all for watching, and if you'd like to see any more videos like that, then let me know in the comments below. Thank you. Okay, now it's time to go to sleep. Holy fuck.